August 11th, 2026. We are in our Habits of Health book 2.8. Healthy Eating for Life, your transition to permanent health. And on the sidebar, they've got a micro habit of health. Journal your weight. If you start to see your weight trending upward, check in with your coach and check in on your choices to see where you can improve. All it takes is tightening up the scales just a little bit. So your transition eating plan. If you use the portion control meal system exclusively during phase 1, you'll need to introduce new food groups as well as additional calories into your eating system. Read the next section about the process of transitioning from the packaged portion control meal system to learn how to do this effectively. If you're using the healthy eating system, scientifically formulated prepackaged meals, you're already employing many of the principles of your permanent eating strategy, and you can skip the next section and go right to transitioning to your permanent eating system. And we have the most beautiful, what used to be transition, now it's called Refine program. That's a website that literally daily you can check mark the things that you add. It has little tips and tools. The only thing that I like is I wish that it referred you over here to the education. So, but anyways, sidebar, Dr. A says, don't forget that fuelings are a great way to add calories into your diet during transition and beyond. Transition from the prepackaged fuelings. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. If you've reached your healthy weight using portion controlled meals, you will need to add the full range of food groups back into your diet, as well as calories. You're already used to preparing a healthy lean and green meal along with your fuelings, so this transition should be pretty easy for you. We're going to introduce these new foods in a logical order that allows your digestive tract to become accustomed to them. Your starting point is 5 portion controlled meals and 1 lean and green meal for the total of 800 to 1,000 calories a day. And recognize 800 to 1,000 calories a day. It's very, very important when you're in the losing phase to eat every single bite. That's not very many calories. It can actually create a keto flu that is nasty if you don't get all your food in. That's really, really important. And this is not a program where eating less will create better weight loss. Less actually stops weight loss, and it will start cannibalizing muscle mass instead of fat mass. So, little side note about that initial phase. For the first 4 weeks of your transition, you will increase your daily calorie intake incrementally each week by adding one of the 4 food groups that you avoided during phase 1. Whoops. Okay, transitioning from the prepackaged fuelings. If I've already read this, sorry. If you've reached your healthy weight, oh no, I already did, clear down to, okay, below is a schedule we use and at Trivoli to transition from weight loss to maintenance, or what we call reset, into refine, which is where we transition over to renew, which is my last 11 years. So week 1, we do additional vegetables, 2 servings. So if it's a lettuce, it's 2 cups. If it's broccoli, it's a half a cup and a half a cup, which is a cup. So 2 servings. Week 2, we have those veggies and we add fruit. Week 3, we add dairy. Week 4, we add grains. And by the end of the week 4, you will have additional, you will have added of these 4 food groups and ooh, wow. You will have added each of these 4 food groups and will be consuming approximately 1,350 to 1,500 calories. And you will have pulled back on the prepackaged fuelings. So transition. Once you've achieved your healthy weight, you're ready to make the transition to lifelong healthy eating. The transition phase gradually increases your calorie intake and reintroduces a wider variety of foods. The calories you need after transition to maintain your weight varies according to your height, weight, gender, age, and activity level. The 6-week transition leads to an ultimate goal of fewer than 1,550 calories a day. So we have to learn the TEE so that you know how to add stuff. And that's all done in that beautiful new transition that we have. What was I just going to say about that? Something else that I wanted to say. Oh, transition. I love transition. I love coaching transition. And whether it's coming into transition or whether it's moving into the renew phase, one thing that I often hear is, I'm scared or I'm worried, or just recognize, were you worried when you started on program? Did you think this probably won't work for me? Well, it's the same thing for transition. Embrace it and know within a week, it's like, oh, well, that was easy. Same thing with renew. Oh, well, that's easy. It just takes a little bit of navigating to get there and be prepared. And then pretty soon you're going to be loving life, eating all fuel, as long as you're in the education. So you become aware and you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's all so important. The other thing that I wanted to say was, it's crazy because we just did this reset pilot with coaches. Well, my husband is 6'3" and hear that, over 200 pounds. I mean, I'm 5 foot, I like to say 5, probably closer to 4. At 147 pounds or whatever I started at, we ate the same amount of fuel. But because of the science of fat burn, we ate exactly the same amount of calories. But that science, both of us, we used the EAAs, both of us actually grew skeletal muscle and lost weight. Well, he lost 11 pounds. I lost 5 pounds. He had more to lose. He has more muscle because he's a guy, so they burn more calories. He protected his muscle during that. But 2 weeks later, I'm down 5 pounds. He's down 11. He's never hungry. I'm never hungry. The science is incredible. It doesn't matter the size. As long as you are precise with that, you'll have a fabulous loss. You'll have a fabulous protection of muscle or grow muscle, which is definitely what we've been seeing since we've shifted over. So, seems like there was one other thing I was going to talk to you really quick about that. Oh, and during that refine phase, that transition phase, one thing that I love to make people aware of is during the weight loss phase, you get release all of the glycogen storage, which is stored carbs, and some water molecules that you don't need when your body's in the science of fat burn. And so at that point, those are not in there. So during week 1, where you add veggies, week 2, where you take away a fueling and you have those veggies plus fruit, you still lose. Most people still lose. And sometimes they lose better because they need more fuel. Because some people, when you're deeper into the green, you oftentimes will lose those first 2 weeks. But week 3, be prepared, because mentally we've been losing weight and all of a sudden you're going to gain anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds. And it's like, whoa, I don't want to eat any more food. Yes, you do. All that happened was that water came back in to settle in for regular calories in, calories out. That glycogen storage is still there for protection if you need it. That's all that happened. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I just gained 5 pounds of visceral fat. Okay. So when that happens, that's a normal process. Then guess what? Week 4, you start losing again. Week 5, sometimes you lose again. As women, we're getting closer to our calorie intake, but by then we've learned about the total energy expenditure and the 3 different kinds of calories that we burn and all of that. Now my husband, it'll take a little bit longer because we've got to get him up to almost 2,000 calories. Now me, my total burn is like 1,600. So just a total side note there, which I think is really important when you're learning the transition refined stage. Okay, so here's a chart. So on page 329, they actually have a chart of what that looks like. And like I said, the Coach Hub, we have a website to send to clients as they're ready to get into Refine. I don't believe it's in Refine unless they've added it in there. They have been doing some changing, but it's pretty incredible. Okay. And there's also notes in there, like down here it says fresh, or if canned, unsweetened and packed in juice, not in syrup. Talks about the fruit. And then it talks about the protein, grilled, baked, poached, or broiled, not fried. And then there's an example of whole grains. It says example 1 slice of whole grain bread, half a whole grain English muffin, 3/4 cup high fiber cereal, half a cup of whole wheat pasta, or 1/3 cup of brown rice. So again, there's a few examples, but again, it's really nice in that new Refine graph website. It's really laid out nicely, and you go ahead and you check everything off every day, and then at the bottom there's a light gray. You click that, it opens all those boxes, and tomorrow you go in and you check all of those again so you get what you need. And it has glycemic index on there. So this is fun. So week 1, add a vegetable. And it talks about total calories. Add any vegetable from green selection. Now this is something too. In that one, it says add any kind of vegetable. I encourage not adding starchy vegetables until after week 3. And it's funny, in 2 different places, it says it different ways in the education in here too. But I really think that the body's not ready for the starchy vegetables until it's in, calories out. But that's my take. Week 2, add a fruit. Drop a package meal, add a fruit out of the green section. Again, I do encourage out of the green section, lower glycemic during that first couple of weeks. Week 3, add dairy. Dairy includes low-fat and sugar-free yogurt, milk, and lactate products. So week 4, add whole grain. And then there's an example, breakfast, half a cup of high fiber breakfast cereal. Yeah, anyways, we're going to skip all of that. After the first 4 weeks, you will have introduced all 4 of the food groups you avoided during phase 1. Phase 1, and will be eating approximately 1,500 calories per day. Over the following weeks, you'll continue to add calories until you reach your total energy expenditure, TEE. And now it's called TDEE if you're looking anything up, and it's total daily energy expenditure. Either by adding foods to one of your fuelings. Oh, that's the other one. Protein, carb all the time. So don't eat that fruit all by itself for one of your fuelings. Make sure to pull a little bit of your protein from your lean and green to put with that. That's how we start breaking it up. You're still wanting to eat 5 to 6 times a day. That's what's going to keep your body healed, moving, perfect, in a great place. So again, all of our macro habits are going to be stuck just like the way they are for the rest of your life. Those are habits that we do not change. Your fuelings, as outlined in Transition Guide, that came with your low-calorie, scientifically formulated meals, or to one of your meals, use my color-coded portion control system. As an example, if your target TEE was 1,900 calories, This would mean adding 400 calories over the next 4 weeks. An easy way to do this is to add 100 calories each week until you have reached the permanent healthy eating schedule outlined in the next section. Note, if you've reached your healthy weight using portion-controlled meals, you can skip the next section and move to planning meals. So again, this is more about whole foods, but I think that it's so good to be aware of it that we're going to go ahead and read it also. What was the other thing I was going to say? I don't know. Transition to your permanent eating system. In phase 1, if you use the healthy eating system to help improve your health, then you learned how to eat every 3 hours for a total of 1,200 to 1,300 calories per day using your 9-inch plate. You learned the right portion of foods from the 4 major food components, and my color-coded low glycemic system helped you choose healthy carbohydrates, fats, and lean proteins, and showed you how to select your vegetables and fruits from the dark green charts for the lowest glycemic carbohydrates. This puts you in a fat-burning state that helps you to reach your healthy weight. Now that you're transitioning to your healthy lifelong eating plan, you no longer need to unload excess fat. Our new priority is to increase your daily calories until we reach a state of equilibrium between energy in, energy out. Calories in, calories out. As part of the plan, we're going to add some slightly higher glycemic carbohydrates from the light green section of your color-coded charts. Eventually, you'll be able to choose from any of the carbohydrates on the green charts. We're going to add calories back into your diet gradually in order to allow your body to adjust to this additional fuel. Let's take a look at your phase 1 eating schedule, which taught you the basics of eating healthy. I'm actually going to read the sidebar. Don't forget to monitor your weight during transition. Your weight may fluctuate during the transition as your body gets used to the additional carbohydrates, salt, and calories. Remember to monitor your weight vigilantly and adjust your calorie intake up and down if you fluctuate more than a few pounds from your healthy weight. If you notice that you're gaining weight, cut back calories by a bit by recalculating your TEE and adjusting your intake accordingly. Give your body time to readjust its lower set point, and be ready to catch yourself early. So again, with that TEE, when you calculate that, make sure whatever you think your energy level is, cut it back by 1. So I always say, if you think you're slightly active, put that you're sedentary. We want our calories a little less than a little more. So, Dr. A, healthy eating schedule from phase 1. Again, breakfast, 300 and 400 calories, mid-morning fueling, 100 calories, lunch fueling, 100 to 200 calories, mid-afternoon, 100 calories, dinner, 400, evening fuel, 100 calories. This is how your daily intake looked in phase 1. Now you're going to add calories gradually until you reach your total energy expenditure, which is the point where your intake and output meet. So that's the balance of energy in, energy out, calories in, calories out. One thing that is very nice too is we do have the Ascend products and I really like them for Kevin because they're about 200 calories, but at the same time, they have 20 grams of protein in between. Because a lot of times he's eating like me and we're doing like lean and greens for lunch and dinner. Well, again, I eat a whole lot less calories than he does. He needs more calories. So to get his up to that full 2,000 calories, he'll use those Ascend products. He loves to do his waffle every day almost when he's in optimization or renew. He is using the waffle and one of the Ascend bars in the afternoon. So, and then we have a dessert at night, brownie or something like that. So anyways, transitioning into your permanent plan is simply a matter of adding about 100 calories to your daily intake for each week of transition until you reach your TEE. If you lost more than 50 pounds, you'll want to go a bit slower, adding an additional 100 daily calories every 2 weeks of transition. Here's how your transition might look if your TEE 1900 calories per day. One thing that I do want to say is Becca Tenter last night on our, because we did a 2-week pilot with the new Reset program. She said that if we've only been in the 5-in-1 for a week or two, we literally can go through transition faster, which is kind of what he's saying here. He says, she said, do 3 days of the first week, do 3 to 4 days of the second week. Now, if somebody's been on that Reset program for a year, you want to take it slower because the body needs more time to adjust. But our body's only been in fat burn for 2 weeks. So you can move through that process a little bit faster. So that's very interesting. That's going to help me coach people because I have people that start the losing phase that only want to lose 5 pounds. Or I have a man that just wanted to reset his metabolism. He didn't need to lose anything, but we went ahead and did him the 5-in-1 reset for a week. And that's giving me more thought on, oh, I need to move him through the refine phase a little bit faster. And I can. 11 years of coaching, I'm still learning. So, as a rule, the more acidic a fruit, the lower its glycemic index because it slows down gastric emptying. Week 1, again, at 100. Oh, that's the other thing I want to say. Macronutrients are really important. So once you get to about week 5 and 6, you need to watch your macronutrient balance. Probably the number one thing that I see people mess up with is the fat count goes up and they don't realize how calorie dense it is. I mean, a fat can be a teaspoon, but it's 100 calories. So be very, very aware of where fats are. And healthy fats are much more important. And that's something obviously that we work and learn through the education. But be very, very careful that the fat intake is only 20-25% of your balance. Protein carbs can kind of go back 40-40. Carbs can be 45. Protein can be 35 and then 20 fats. So something like that, but be very, very aware that that fat doesn't become the biggest part of that circle. Don't have that pie slice be bigger than the other two. Protein is very, very important. So let's see. And okay, so week 1, again, add 100 calories, add another 100 calories on week 2, and week 3, another 100 calories, week 4, another 100 calories. Again, that's what that fruit is. That's what those vegetables are. That's what that dairy is. That's kind of what we're looking for. And actually the veggies aren't, that first week isn't really 100 calories, but that's what it looks like. Week 8, monitor your weight and adjust as necessary. Note that I haven't added calories to the evening fueling because it's important to minimize the body's workload at night. Remember, fuelings are an excellent way to add these incremental calories during transition, as well as after you reach your optimal daily calorie intake. Here is an example of what the permanent eating strategy might look like for someone whose TEE is 1900 calories. And we are going to stop right